to bring in the one, the only. Chris, it's hard enough to play 16 years in the NFL, but when you play 16 years at the doesn't get enough love position of fullback, then it's even more impressive. He is Lorenzo Neal. Follow him on Twitter at that same name. Zoe, what's popping, baby?
Pack, what's buzzing, cousin? How you doing, my brother?
No complaints. Let's start, actually, since our producer Kyle is from San Diego and he was heartbroken when they moved to L.A. You being one of the most famous Chargers, you got to be top 5. You got to be up there with Phillip Rivers, Ladainian Tomlinson.
Gates?
Maybe Stan Humphrey, Junior Seau, but you got to be top 5, Zoe. But that move from your fan constituency or whatever, what sort of vibe did you get? Was it really heartbreaking for them to go from San Diego to LA, or did you find most of them kind of following the team since it's not that far?
No, I think that you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people are heartbroken. A lot of people won't watch the Chargers game, and it's unfortunate because they have some good guys, and it's tough because ownership, wanted to try to reason with the city, and you look at the stadium now, they tore down the stadium and built up another stadium for San Diego State. It just shouldn't have happened. San Diego's a great place. It's a great place for a Super Bowl. Just build a new stadium, the revenue that you bring in, and it's too bad that sometimes politics, that's why you don't like to talk about them, because of the fact that, two sides can't get along. They're all, and both sides had some valid points, but at the end of the day, the players and the fans, that's what suffered the most. But yeah, it was tough. I didn't like the move, but it is what it is.
Real quick, I mean, the Chargers are one of 9 0-2 teams, and they play another 0-2 team this weekend in the Vikings. What do you think an 0-3 start would mean for this Chargers team? And do you see if they do go 0-3, is it kind of writing on the wall for Brandon Staley at that point?
Well, I think so. And unfortunately, because I like Brandon Staley, I've had the opportunity to talk to him many times, come on the podcast, and we spoke, and he's a good person. He's good for the community. He's good for the team. He welcomes back a lot of the older players or players that of yesterday year. So he does a great job. But this is just it's unfortunate, but there's accountability that has to be placed. Just like there's accountability on players, there's accountabilities on coaches. And you look at Staley and look at the success he had with the Rams as a DC. Why isn't that translating? And you look at the Chargers and look at the way that they're playing, and he's a defensive-minded coach. When you score over 30 in 2 weeks and you have not won a game, you have to look hard at the defense, and this is what he's supposed to be as a defensive-minded guy. You see a lot of cover one. You see a lot of man-to-man coverage, so they're always in the trail position. The safety can't get over the top. They're giving up too many big plays. And I think that you look at it, they have to go back to the basics. And I went out there and watched training camp. Like I go to all these different teams, especially in California, and go and look. And what I noticed is I said, okay, this is a team. I liked what they were doing at training camp. They were getting after it. They're being physical. Because when you look at their schedule, you think about it. The Dolphins saw last week against the Titans. Now Minnesota. You look at the next 3 or 4 games. I said, this is going to make or break the Chargers because their schedule started off with they could go 0-5. They could be 2-5. They could be 2-3 because the schedule was so tough and dictated. So I thought they knew. Well, they knew they had to get off to a good start. And unfortunately, they've been short on the scoreboard, and that has been the Achilles heel for this team. It's not just this year, but it's been for several years now that they're losing the close games, and they have not found a way to win the close ones.
Lorenzo Neal, best fullback of all time. Put him in the Hall of Fame. Anybody from the NFL that's listening, put him in the Hall of Fame. He joins us. Chris Watkins, Zachariah, right here on Sactown Sports 1140. Zoe, as a guy that saw all kinds of different defensive schemes in your 16 years, there was a big deal made last night about the 5 lineman formations for the Niners. Was that something that kind of threw your offense for a loop? Was that because they made a really big deal about it last night, and I was a little bit confused as to why that got so much attention.
Yeah, because what happens is usually it's a 3 down. You usually go 3 down. That's the 3-4. You go the 4-2. That's 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers. The 3-4 is three defensive linemen. You have a nose guard, 2 defensive ends, and you have the Sam, the Mike, the Will, the Jack. So it's 4 linebackers in the 3-4. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers, they used to be a heavy 3-4 team, and now you think about what the Niners did last night, and that's what they did. They said, let's go with the 5 down. And let me tell you why a lot of people, and that's what confuses teams and why it will give you problems, because now you force the offensive line to go man on man. See, when you have 4 linemen or 3 down linemen, you can double team. So if you have just the nose guard, now the guard in the center can double the nose guard, and you still have an extra lineman that he can slide to away. The other guard can slide to the defensive end. So it depends on which defensive end is the best in the 3-4, because usually the guard is uncovered. So both guards are uncovered. If you have a great nose, whatever defensive end is great, now the guard to that side, he would help on the defense end, and the center to the guard to the opposite side of that would help on the nose guard, and then you have a one-on-one battle. So that's what the Niners did. They said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to force the Giants to block man-to-man, because they can only put in 5 down linemen. You have your center, your 2 guards, your top. So when you do that now you say, okay, now we got a man on a man, and now they can't slide protection. We can bring a linebacker, and now we're going to force guys to stay in. You can't slide protection. And it really gave the Giants fit because of the fact the quarterback couldn't hold the ball. He was running. He had to scramble. He had to break contain, get outside the pocket because the pressure was on him.
Lorenzo, you played with one of the best running backs of his era, if not the best, in Ladainian Tomlinson. And the thing that stuck out to me last night was just Christian McCaffrey is just different from every other running back in the NFL right now. Do you see any similarities between CMC and Ladainian? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, and it's crazy you said that, because this morning I was on KPIX, and, we talked about it, and with Gianna Franklin and Nicole, and we talked about Christian McCaffrey. And I said, he is one of the closest things to LT, because of the speed. If you saw the back of 2-1, it was usually too late. If you saw the back of 2-3, if he's even, he's leaving. So when you think about these guys, as far as the speed factor, I think that it's unbelievable. LT had way more weight. LT could miss you in the phone booth. He would break your ankle. But I think McCaffrey in the passing game, they both can run. They're both home. They are both game changers. But I think when you talk about LT and Marshall Falk, McCaffrey, you have to put McCaffrey in that conversation of the total back. I think right now in the league, in the NFL, especially in Cal Shanahan's offense, he is the best back, just like Purdy. In Cal Shanahan's offense, I think that he runs it magnificent. I don't think there's a lot of quarterbacks that can run it this well. Now, I don't think that Purdy could go to an offense that's different and go and be as successful as he is in this. He fits Cal Shanahan's offense perfectly because he understands what Cal Shanahan is doing. He understands getting the ball out of his hand quick and understanding the read and where to go with the ball. That's what makes Purdy great in this offense. And yes, McCaffrey, without a doubt, to me, I think he's the best back in the league right now.
You're number one in my heart and my mind, Lo Neal, but you can take yourself out of it. Somebody on the chat on YouTube, search Sactown Sports, they put in Mike Alstott. Now, I want you to give me your top 5 fullbacks of all time. You can either put yourself in or take yourself out. I'm sure you're humble, even though I know you're not personally. But
I love you, Jack. He's my guy.
Give me your top 5 fullbacks of all time, though.
Yeah, you know what? I think Mike Alstott is in a place where he should be with Larry Zonta and Franco Harris. I think when you think about, is Mike Alstott, was he a fullback or was he a tailback? When you think of guys like Earl Campbell, Mike Alstott, Jerome Bettis. So I look at Mike Alstott differently. I think that he was a tweener. I think when you look at the guys that Larry Zonta, you look at Larry Zonta, you look at Mike Alstott, you look at Franco Harris, you look at those guys, Earl the Pearl, Earl Campbell. I think he's a big back. And I don't know if he was just necessarily a true fullback. Mike didn't want to necessarily block. That's just what wasn't his forte. But yes, if you said who's the best running fullback, I would put Mike Alstott in, probably number 1. But is that true? Because Franco Harris, they said, was a fullback, but we know better. So it's hard to say that. So I do understand the chat, what they're saying. But if you're talking about fullbacks to me, man, I'm going to give you a guy that people probably won't know. I love this guy, Corey Schlesinger. People don't talk about Corey. I'm not going to put him in the 5 order. I'm just going to give you 5 good linebackers. Corey Schlesinger was absolutely amazing. Go watch some film how he knocked guys out, and he happened to block for Barry Sanders. Corey Schlesinger did not get enough credit. This guy was a stud. Okay, there's another guy, Sam Gash. Sam Gash. I love Sam Gash. He got downhill. He was a physical fullback. He would block you. He would hit you. Loved him. And then Moose Johnson. You look at Moose Johnson, you think about what he did for Emmitt Smith, the way that he blocked, the way that he went about his business. I loved him. And then I loved the guy over in Seattle, Mac Schrum, Mac Hammerhead Schrum, Big Mac blocked, was Alexander. This guy got after and was unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you a fullback that people don't talk about, and I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's like a Mike Allstott was for the running. He was this as a receiver out of the backfield. No one talks about this guy, and that's LC, Little Larry. Larry Centers played for the Arizona Cardinals, caught over 100 footballs. I watched and studied this game very, very closely. Larry Center was one of the best chipping, like kill guys' ribs, knock out defensive linemen because he understood his craft. So I like Larry Centers too. So I just gave you some guys off the top of my head. Hope I didn't miss any guys, but I'm telling you, those guys were special in my opinion when it talked about a true fullback.
That was just off of the top of his head. God bless you, Lo. You could talk fullbacks for like an hour. And first of all, a fullback's nickname should not have little in it. And the Mac guy, I forget who that was. I got to go back and listen to this so I can take notes properly. But the Mac guy should be Mac Truck. That's obvious.
Exactly. Yes, man. You got to look him up. He brought for Sean Alexander. He played with Seattle, Mac Strong. So he was a hammer. So Mac was I love Big Mac. So there's a lot of guys that I was able to, go against and watch from and another guy, Kansas City Chiefs, and, Tony Richardson, a great fullback as well. So there's a lot of guys. It's just unfortunate that no true fullback is in the Hall of Fame. You got kickers in the Hall of Fame. Let a fullback in the Hall of Fame. Get one of us in there.
And I see your
fullback's great again.
And I see your T-shirt. I'm gonna go buy it from Oaklandish. Fullbacks need to be represented in the Hall of Fame. Damn it. Fullbacks are people too. Follow him on Twitter at Lorenzo Neal. He is the greatest fullback in my humble opinion. 16 years grinding that bad boy out. Zoe, you are the man. Thank you for your time and enjoy your weekend, sir.
Let's do it again soon, guys. Cheers.
Absolutely. There you go, Lorenzo Neal. Man, I have never seen
Incredible.
a guy with more fullback knowledge in my life. I'm literally going to go back. I usually don't like listening to the sound of my voice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just listen to his voice. I'll just listen to his. I need to take notes. I want to have fullback knowledge. That guy was rifling off
That's
fullbacks
incredible.
like it was nothing.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like I could do that with quarterbacks and
He
running
went
backs
back
and
too.
wide receivers.
He was like Barry Sanders days. I mean, he was
By the way,
Moose Johnson.
Do you agree you can't have little in your name if you're a fullback?
I mean, that's kind of like it's it's ironic. There's sometimes the biggest guy on the field. His nickname's
True.
Tiny.
True.
Yeah.
True. All right, coming up next, we all plead the fifth. We do it together. We have fun in the 40s, especially on Friday. We'll go around the wacky world of sports. That's coming up next. Chris Watkins, Zachariah, right here, Sactown Sports 1140.